We're
Oh, why
recording,
am I
by the way.
recording my Twitter? Psst.
You want to start over?
Nope. We're leaving that in. We are leaving that in. We don't start over here on this channel.
If you're down with a program, you've already seen .hack sign right here. It was kind of confusing, but playing .hack infection for the PS2 might fill in some of the gaps for you.
I'm recording, by the way. You got a problem with pink hair?
No comment.
Just because a wise woman once said, just because a chick has pink hair doesn't mean she won't start something. All right, my name is Eris. This is
Krail.
yeah, Krail Carden.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the Krailfish. Oh, why
recording,
am
by
I
the way.
recording my Twitter? Psst.
You want to start over?
Nope. We're leaving that in. We are leaving that in. We don't start over here on this channel. Very raw,
Professional and
very
unprofessional. My favorite catchphrase. Looking at you, fact fiend.
very unfiltered. Giving it to you straight, the source. .hack. That's what we're talking about today.
All right, so let's first start off with how much do you know about .hack?
I watched Sign as a young lass on the television. Toonami.
So you watched the original airing of Sign on Toonami?
Yeah. At
I remember
like
watching that.
2.5 hours past when I was supposed to be asleep.
Yeah,
Because that's
when
for
you
whatever
pretended to
reason.
be asleep and instead you were watching anime.
Uh-huh.
I think we all go through that phase.
And I don't know why, but at the time I remember I I guess I didn't really understand what was happening in the show, but I just kind of convinced to myself that I was super smart and I understood everything that was happening and was always excited for the next episode.
I mean, I was fairly young when it came out too. I
Hmm.
must have been, oh god, how old was I? I must have been 14, 15 when it came out, somewhere around there. I don't even remember. What year did Sign come out? Do you have that data?
Well, I do not. Let me take a look here. Uh,
or rather, what year did it air on Toonami? Because that's when I saw it.
yeah. Let's see. What do you know about .hack while I look this up?
Well, I know a lot about .hack. I have seen all of Sign. I have played all 4 of the original games: Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine. I started by renting the 3rd game, Outbreak, from Blockbuster. Got into it a little bit and then realized I have no idea what's going on. So I quickly went back to Blockbuster and got the 1st game and started there.
Back when
I
Blockbuster was still a thing.
Yeah, showing my age here.
Well,
But
there are still a lot of people who know what Blockbuster is.
well,
Probably.
yeah, maybe. But I played through the 1st game, quickly got addicted, went through all 4 games. I tried to get as close to 100% completion as I could. And then when I beat those games, I went into Legend of the Twilight as is natural, and we have differing views of Legend of the Twilight, you and I.
I
But
like that show.
you like that show. I'm not the greatest fan of it. I
It was
admit it
it
was
was
an
fun.
okay anime. It was an okay anime. I didn't have any problems with it as a show,
Mhm,
but as a hack fan, it was very different than the rest of the series.
mhm.
There was also the weird disconnect between the anime and the manga because the anime and manga follow completely different stories.
I never
But
read the manga. I never read the manga of any of the .hack.
yeah, the manga, yeah, like I said, the manga follows a completely different story than the anime does, and I honestly preferred the manga a lot more because it held a lot more of what hack is. But
That makes me
moving on
kind of
from there,
curious. Sign came
it
out in 2003, by the way. I was
2003, so I would have been 13.
I was 8. I was 8 years old.
So I had a very rudimentary grasp of what hack was at the time. I know me and you sat down. We watched through the whole series again recently. What was that? Last couple months ago, right?
Last month. Was it? No,
Last
maybe
month.
January.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
This year.
Yeah, I remember it was the beginning of the year. But we sat down, watched again. We had a much better understanding of what was going on. We both had our gripes with the show, but we'll talk about that in a different video.
Oh God, did we have our gripes?
Yeah. I mean, I still very much appreciate Dahak Sign for what it was as the kickstart into the series, but other than that, it was not the most polished show. But
Yeah.
moving on from there, I went from Legend of the Twilight. I played through the Dahak GU games, which were the successors to the Dahak franchise.
hmm
Played through Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, got through them. Trying to 100% as much as I humanly could. Um, After that, there was a long dry spell on Dahak content after that. And then they tried to reboot the series again with Dahak Link, which was the PSP game only available in Japan. I tried playing that. I got my hands on the Japanese version of the game. Not a great game. It
Doesn't sound like
is
a good game.
no, it's a terrible game if you're a Dahak fan. There's a lot of references and cameos from other characters and stuff that were really cool, but for the most part, like I know there are people that like the game, but personally, as somebody who's been a diehard Dahak fan for a long time, it fell very short,
hmm
and it seemed like it was going more towards fan service than anything. But that's a discussion not for this video. Um, After that, they had the movies and stuff like that that I really enjoyed. The Dahak trilogy movie, which was a retelling of the GU games. Um, the Quantum movie. I believe there was another movie beside that I can't remember off the top. Oh, it was the
That
OVA series.
yeah, Quantum was a movie. I thought it was just the OVAs.
No, no, no. It was an OVA series. I believe there was another movie besides that, but
Oh,
it's escaping my memory right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, enough about the entire history of Dot Hack as a series. What are we here right now for? What is this?
So in recent time, I have started to rekindle my love for Dahak, mostly due to Twitch streamers and stuff who have really brought Dahak back from death, and
Yeah,
so
they're
to speak.
really digging up like pretty much all of the JRPGs of that particular time frame that just didn't get any love or any like real support, and they're just like going hard with the support. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's a little touching.
So one of the things that really helped it start to resurface a bit was the remakes of the GU games on Steam, which are fantastic remakes. If you want to play the GU games, play them on Steam because they're completely remastered, HD, added content, stuff like that. But
Unfortunately, that isn't the start of the Dot Hack series, so you're
no.
I mean, can you start
And then
Roots without knowing Sign or
you can so starting with Roots and going into GU, that's pretty much its own self-contained story. There are a
Mhm.
little callbacks to Sign and the original four games, but if you want the full story to understand what's going on, you're probably gonna have to start with Sign, going through the fourth game, the four original games, then Roots, then GU.
But that's where
Uh,
you're wrong. All you have to
how
really
so?
do is watch Dot Hack Sign and then watch this Dot Hack retrospective video by what's his name again?
Modal Beat.
Modal Beat. Someone that I believe
Yes.
you're familiar with. Is that right?
Yes, I've been watching his Dahak retrospective videos for a while now, and
hmm
I've been keeping up with him pretty faithfully. He's done a videos on all four of the original games and volume 1 and 2 of the GU games. I'm eagerly awaiting his third retrospective for GU to come out soon. Um, I don't have any idea when the third one's coming out. I'm just really excited for it.
Yeah,
Um,
your excitement is
oh yeah,
exploding.
I sound like a very excited person, don't I?
Absolutely.
Can't you
So,
tell by the dead eyes?
well, I mean that yeah, don't try and fake that. I can see you. You're not slick.
But yeah, so he did these retrospective videos where he goes through each of the games piece by piece analyzing the games, how they play, the story. He goes very in depth with the story, and he memes a lot. There's a
Mhm.
lot of memes in there, and he has a lot of fun with it. So I found these videos to be pretty informative for the story and gameplay of the games. For people who don't want to sit and dedicate 200 hours into the 4 games, so you'll get a rudimentary understanding of what actually happened in the games,
It's
so that
a
you have
couple
a better
hundred
understanding.
hours and an emulator that you're going to need to properly
Yeah,
experience these games, which is kind of a problem. But
yeah, unless you have an original PS2 with the 4 games, which, if you're unaware, the 4 games are very expensive
yeah,
because they're hard to find, especially in America. I think the last time I checked, if you were to go on a site like eBay or Amazon or something, to get a full collection of all 4 games with the cases, with the sleeves, with the pamphlets, and the DVDs that come with them, you're looking at like easily $400 to $500, and that's
PS2
cheap.
game prices. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we're doing today. We're going to look through this dot hack retrospective video, and
yeah,
links
just
to this and his channel will be in the description. So,
yeah, just for reference, I have seen these already, but Eris over there has not.
nope.
So this is going to be their first time seeing it. This is going to be their first time experiencing anything with these games, and we're going to try and fill in the gaps.
Yeah,
We might pause here and there in the video just to discuss some things, but we're going to try and give this as a raw reaction as possible.
editing magic for those weirdo parts, but that's fine.
What is editing? I'm a streamer, so I don't know what editing is.
It's that thing you do when you say something that you shouldn't say. Yeah, you wouldn't know. It's
Uh,
a you don't have that.
yeah, I don't have that. I'm unfiltered. My filter software is out of date, so.
It's unfortunate. Those updates are
So
expensive. Let's do it.
yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and start this up whenever you're ready.
When I was around 6 years old, I was crazy
Okay.
about 2 things: anime and video games.
Same.
Nowadays,
We're
I
already
barely
catching.
watch anything at all, but during 2003,
For me, it was Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Tom. Oh man, OG
Oh, the original
Toonami.
Toonami.
dumb smile on my face full of that childhood innocence that most people
Man.
wish they still had. You know, so they don't have to deal with the crippling depression of adulthood. So I really had no quality filter at all, and to be honest, I don't think many kids had the mind of a critic when they were 6. But there was one
Super
show that really
cringy
stood out
if
to
you
me,
go back and
mostly
watch it
because
now,
of
but
the
it's still like
dot hack slash side dot
yeah.
hack
Searching for
hack
this
dot
series
hack
is
side. Yeah, the name was
continually
pretty
just a
confusing to me
nightmare.
too. What
Yeah.
got me about the show was that it all took place completely in a video
Trying to
game,
find
which
anything on
to
this
me, a kid
franchise
that played
is
more
a
games than he
nightmare for
probably
search
should have,
engines.
was instantly attention grabbing. Add in the interesting art design of the environments and characters, as well as the uneasiness and outright uncomfortableness of certain scenes, and you got a show that left a pretty big impression on me growing up. My sister and I went crazy for the Dot Hack franchise.
Oh,
We
watched
played
it with your sister.
games, we watched as much of the anime as we could, despite the terrible air times. I still
Oh my
own a
God.
few volumes of the GU and Twilight Bracelet mangas. Yeah, like I said, no quality filter, so even bad non.
I liked Legend of the Twilight.
Up on my dumb kid mind.
You do know they're
So
not
my
canon,
interest in the
right?
franchise kinda
I don't.
faded off after the
They're
show.
canon to me.
And
Okay.
from the looks of it, nothing really great came out afterwards.
Yeah.
But hey,
Oh
now
man,
GU's
Versus
getting a remaster for
the fighting
PS4,
game
and
they tried to make.
damn,
That
does
game
it
looked
look good.
ridiculous.
Just look at Asai on that sexy new class costume. Now, I'm really happy that the series is getting attention again, especially since this remaster looks like it's going to reel in some newcomers too. But part
Oh,
of
so
me
this
is a
must be
little bummed
before
out
the
that
remasters
original
came out?
quadrilogy isn't getting the same treatment. I'm
Yeah,
referring to
this came
Infection,
out like
Mutation,
a
Outbreak,
few
and
months before the
Quarantine. Or
remasters
as I
dropped.
like to call them, Imok? iMac. I'm calling them iMac. Don't get me wrong.
It's
a
I
hack
don't know
iMac.
why they're choosing to go with the
I hate
GPU
Apple.
trilogy, and I also don't think the gameplay of iMac would turn any
Sponsor
heads
me,
or
Apple.
get that many people excited. But I have a
Don't. I
special
won't.
fondness
I
for
won't
the
talk
first part of the
fondly of your
franchise.
products.
Probably because that's where I started. See, the whole Dot Hack franchise is split up into 2 parts. You got
Oh, God.
the first sort of chapter of the franchise called Project Dot
Yeah.
Hack, and you got the second part of it called Dot Hack Conglomerate. Conglomerate is
If you're
the
familiar with
takes
anime,
place
you know what these
along with
timelines
its
look
prequel
like.
anime, Dot Hack
Yeah.
Roots, and nothing else after
It's
that. Now.
still
Oh.
more
So you got
easy to
Dot Hack
understand
Sign and Dot Hack
than
iMac over
Kingdom
here in
Hearts.
Project Dot Hack. And while I don't
Still
think
better
you
to
absolutely
understand than
need to know
Zelda.
about anything prior to GU to enjoy it, there's a certain impact you get from being caught
I'm
up
not
and going
prepared to
through
argue
everything
that.
the other
You're
games
kind
and
of
anime
right.
combined. They even call back and bring up a lot of characters from the original quadrilogy, and seeing those characters after learning about them adds so
Okay.
much more to the experience of GU. That's kind of what I'm hoping to accomplish with this video series looking at the games. I want to help people who are new to the franchise get as close to a full experience as
They
possible
look,
without
the games
spending
look
several
pretty good.
hundreds of dollars on the games. I
Yeah,
also
they're a
wanted
little
to take
rough
a
around
look
their
at the
edges, but they
quality
still
of
hold up a
iMac,
little bit.
maybe even show off why it deserves the remaster treatment, or if not, why it doesn't. Maybe after seeing these videos, people will actually want to spend hundreds on these games.
Nah.
Just emulate it, but that's naughty. Before we delve into the franchise itself, here's some background on CyberConnect and .hack.
I have no comment.
CyberConnect 2 was originally formed in
Look,
1996
remastering an old
Federation
PS2
of
game
Cybercrime
like
2
this,
One day in 2000, they decided they wanted to make a shocking and distinctive game and decided to make a video game about video games.
it needs more of a remake, not a remaster.
The whole
Yeah.
timeline starts with the anime series .hack Sign and the light novel series that came along with it called .hack AI Buster. I'm not really gonna look over AI
I personally-
too much. since
so-
I
Rest in
really
peace,
added-
Tokyo Pop.
Real quick, I just want to mention I haven't read the .hack AI Buster novels, nor have I read any of the other novel-length books for .hack. So I'm not super educated into the details in those. But from what I understand, is they're more side series, like side stories that really complement the series rather than being necessary information.
Got you.
So
And I mean,
they'll
honestly,
talk about like they'll
I-
talk about like the side characters and why they're important and stuff like that.
because these look like they're published by Tokyo Pop, it look like you're never gonna get the chance.
Right? Dude, Tokyo Pop was OG.
It was, and it's a shame what happened to him.
Oh man. But
Right.
we'll get back into this now.
add much to the story. You get a few new viewpoints from characters that appear in the games, but it really isn't enough to make a big impact on the overall experience of iMac. What I do need to cover though is Sign. There's a lot more long-lasting events that happen in Sign
Great
that get brought
opening.
up or
Great
have
music.
an effect on the quadrilogy games.
Oh yeah.
I am going to keep the explanation of Sign as brief as I possibly can though, so I can get on with the games, since I'm more confident in my ability to critique a video game than a TV show. The show centers around Tsukasa, a boy in-game, girl off-game who finds themselves unable to log out of the world. A massive multiplayer online game. They can't seem to remember their life in the real world.
Which you don't
either,
find out to
save
the end
for
of
a
the
few
series.
memories of their abusive
Don't
father.
even learn
These
their
memories
name
stay
until
reassuring
episode 2.
words of a mysterious voice and friendly actors of the
I'm not even
player
joking. It's
steers
episode 2 when
Tsukasa
you hear
towards
his name.
finding solace in being stuck in the game, staying in their own
His,
little
her.
safe space next to a mysterious sleeping girl. Despite their
Well,
unfriendly
his name is
demeanor,
Tsukasa, her
makes a
name
few more
is-
friends in the game. Mimuru, Bear, BT, Subaru, Krim, and Sora kind.
Trivia time?
What was her name?
What was her name?
I don't actually remember
on.
what her name was. What was it?
Really?
What was her name? Come on, tell me. I have no idea what her name was.
It was like you know what? I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the exact pronunciation, but
You
it was
don't
like
even know
An
what it is
Shoji.
either.
It was like An or An or something like that.
This isn't Persona 5.
But her last name is Shoji. I remember that.
How the heck? Okay, well, the out of character Tsukasa isn't really talked about very much.
I mean, there's a lot of cut-ins to their real life, basically describing their mental trauma and stuff like that. But it's not. I guess it is pretty important to the character, but not to the story in the game. If that makes sense. It's supposed to give you an idea of who Tsukasa is, but it's not fundamental to like.
Oh God, it was on Shoji. Huh.
On Shoji. Yep.
Well, I guess you do know your stuff.
Like I said, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like An or An, but I know the last name was Shoji.
We'll just
But,
assume that they went to Persona 5 on to Kamaki Road. Ugh, disgusting. Anyway,
But like I said, the cut-ins to Tsukasa's real life and their memories of the real world and stuff, it's supposed to give you a better understanding of Tsukasa's mental state, because when they are trapped in the game, they very much don't remember anything. and then they like over time start to remember certain things and stuff like that until they start getting their memories back.
Right.
Like
And
it's not a focal point of the show, but it does give you more insight into who Tsukasa is and why they act like they do.
it's the show spends a pretty large amount of time making sure you understand that this Tsukasa character is very much mentally unhinged or unstable, because
Right.
they're doing stuff that just doesn't make sense to anyone.
Right. They're very much supposed to be labeled as like a troubled teen trying to deal with some of the trauma in their real life and using this being trapped in a new world as some form of escapism to try and deal with it.
Final Fantasy
And
Tactics Advanced style.
yeah, as we as we come to find out, the game is not the nicest place either.
I mean, true.
Because assholes gonna be out assholes whether online or offline.
Yeah. If you're familiar with MMOs, you probably are. Then you know what we're talking about. Let us continue.
Kind of, sorta.
Oop.
They also kind of become friends with the Silver Knight dude at the end, but he's a dick, so whatever.
Freaking
All
hate
these
that
Yeah.
characters are really interesting on their own,
He's
with
a
some really
tool.
good depth to them, but I want you to keep
Freaking
four
role
characters
players,
in
man.
mind.
I mean,
Sora,
I don't
the cat
hate you,
player
role
who's a leader
players.
named Maha,
Let me
the
make that
mysterious
clear,
voice,
but
and the sleeping
chill.
girl. Out of everyone in the anime, they
Oh,
have
yeah,
the
some
most
take it way
important
too
roles,
far.
especially the last two. As the show goes on, Tsukasa resolves to wake up the sleeping girl with the help of their friends, leading them to discovering a secret room in the game, with only a man inside who repeats the same message about his regret for failing as a father. He talks about his
Harold
desire
Jorwick.
to see his child, the symbol of the love he had for someone since past, looked after. After a lot of abuse from the omnipresent voice for trying to leave, Tsukasa realizes that the sleeping girl he saw was the same girl the man was referring to. I'm pretty sick of calling her an omnipresent being, so to avoid spoilers, I'm just gonna call her Morphana. So before the events of the show, Morphana had created Maha, the cat player, and ordered them to attack Tsukasa, leaving them trapped in the game with only negative memories remaining. Morphana's plan was to surround the little girl with negative emotions. Since she grew and matured from positive emotions, negative emotions stunted and almost completely halted her growth. Why she doesn't want this girl to prosper isn't made clear until IMAC. If you couldn't tell, Morphana's the main antagonist. Tsukasa and friends come together again to try and free this girl. During their pursuit, they're stopped constantly by Maha and Sora, a fun-loving and immature player killer who seems to only want to work for Morphana because it sounds fun. After
He's
being
10
held
years
by
old in the
Maha,
real
who
world,
grew
by the
a
way.
liking to Tsukasa and got data drained because of her betrayal, our
Or was it
protagonist
8?
finally
He was
confronts
young.
Morphana, expressing their resolve to return to the
God,
real
I
world
hope he
and
wasn't
save their
8.
friends. This is enough to fully awaken the girl, and before the group could get stopped by Morphana, Sora comes in with his own betrayal, hoping to make friends with Tsukasa. Like I said, all he cares about is having fun. Well, that fun ended when he got data drained, and transformed into a horrifying Grim Reaper-like monster called Skaith, leaving his 10-year-old self comatose in the
10.
real
10
world.
year old.
Phew.
The group escapes Skaith's assault, and Tsukasa finally wakes up in the real world, ending on an honestly very beautiful note. Aside from the
That's
weird
one word
fake
for it.
ending,
It was
I don't
very,
really know
very
what's up
weird.
with that. It's never really brought up again. So that's the
Yeah,
anime
that
summary
weird
as quickly as I possibly
not
could while
ending
getting
cut
all the
in.
important notes across. I would really recommend giving the show a watch just for the themes and messages they express through character interactions. One
As
note, if
weird
the
as it
show
was,
is
I would
escapism,
also
as well
recommend
as how
everybody
healthy
go
it
check
is,
out
along with how much it's
Dot
to it,
Hack
and if it's
Sign.
really okay to escape into
Yeah.
another digital life if your real life has nothing good
If
in it. I feel like
I
they
just want
discuss
to
the themes
emphasize this, dot hack sign might be very, very rough around the edges, and
It aged very poorly.
it did age very poorly. It's a very slow show, a lot of talking, very few fight scenes, very little action. It is a lot of dialogue and people flexing role playing power or
Mm.
talking about just weird nonsense in their daily lives and stuff like that. But if you're looking to get into the Dot Hack series, Dot Hack Sign is quintessentially where to start.
But even if you aren't looking to get into the series specifically, like Dot Hack Sign is still the first type of this, genre of show of a kind of video game-esque focused, you know, your Log Horizons, your Sword Art Onlines, like this is
Right.
where it started. And the
Yeah,
the
this is
influences are you can see it.
Dot Hack Sign was really a pioneer of its time in the form of incorporating video game aspects into an anime setting. You wanted to talk earlier. Well, we'll bring it up a little bit here. How Dot Hack Sign is influencing shows like Log Horizon or Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
So Dot Hack was, character gets trapped in the online game and they have to live in this world and
Mhm.
deal with all the troubles that come with this, and not be able to take care of their real life body. They're essentially comatose in real life, and all of the troubles and tribulations that come with that.
Mhm.
Um, like Sukasa can feel the pain that's dealt to them in the game, which is why they shut themselves out and try to avoid other people so that they don't have to go through that.
Right.
Um, that's mirrored in shows today like Sword Art Online, where again, characters trapped in a game, they can feel the pain. There's very real risk of death. Log Horizon, where they have to deal with the mechanics of the game and like stuff like that. Um, having to deal with like actually muddling around command menus and stuff like that, and how you're supposed to deal with these arts and stuff like that.
But I
So
mean, I was saying earlier that I really liked I thought that the comparison with Log Horizon was stronger than with Sword Art Online because Log Horizon is also really very dialogue heavy. There's a lot of talking. And
r- right,
Dot
and
Hack and
I did
Log
some
Horizon are both about solving mysteries.
right. I did take some time to think about that after we talked about that,
Mhm.
and I can I can kind of see how it's similar to Log Horizon in its thematics and tone, while it's more similar to SAO in its initial draw.
Mhm.
The character being trapped in an online game while their real body is comatose. But then Log Horizon takes it another direction, and while they're transported to another world rather than stuck in a VR game,
Mhm.
that world is very heavily influenced by like video game mechanics. But it it's not a show that's specifically about fighting and stuff like that, like Sword Art Online usually was.
Mhm.
It was more about ethics and how they're going to deal with the economy and how they're going to deal with the factions that keep quarreling with each other
The
and
player
stuff like that.
killings and stuff, PvP.
Player killing, yeah, player killings being a very big thing. Log Horizon didn't have as much of a risk each time somebody died because, excuse me, didn't have as much of a risk when somebody died because they did come back at the chapel.
Uh-huh.
Not to give any spoilers, there was a drawback to that. That is very much not you dead, you're dead. While
Right.
Sword Art Online was, and in Dot Hack, it I think except for a couple circumstances, it was very much if you die in the game, you die for real too.
I mean,
Uh,
that's what they implied, and that was like, don't that's the sort of thing that you don't want to risk trying to find out.
right,
But for me, the biggest thing is that while Dot Hack and Log Horizon were about getting to the bottom of a mystery, Sword Art Online was really a lot more about gotta get that power level, get that grind on, and
right.
beat the final
How big can
boss
I
and
get my
get out.
numbers?
Yeah, power levels.
And how many waifus can I collect in this game?
Check them. Yep.
It's the anime gotcha game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go right back into. I think I said everything I need to say about that.
Yeah.
Really well, better than most stories do, and it honestly deserves a watch just for that. But I think I've talked about the show enough. Let's talk about the freaking video games already.
Right.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
the
Flipping
first
video
video
games.
game. This is a quadrilogy after all.
you've got mail.
Log out and check your mail, you nerd, because
Right?
you can't check it in the game.
Nope. Horribly inconvenient. Even in GU that had that problem. Oh, you got
Yeah.
mail. Log out.
Literally quit what you're doing to check your mail. I bet these games probably controlled like butts, don't they?
They were pretty solid actually.
Did you
There's a
control the camera with the
couple.
right stick?
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's
there was
progressive.
there's a couple grievances I have with that, but he goes into that in these videos.
Hmm.
Like the fact that you can't aim a target at an enemy if it's not visibly on your screen, no matter how close you are to them.
Okay, well, that's actually a common thing. Like Final Fantasy 14, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's also the same way.
Right, but Final Fantasy 14, you can also zoom out really far.
You can, but if you're trying to like stick close to your character, I had this problem as a Lalafell like a lot, where it's like I walk up to the Aetheryte in the Golden Saucer, and it's like I target it, and it's like you can't see your target, so
The
no
game
menu
starts
for
off with the
you.
main character, Kite, creating his profile and signing into the world for the first time. You can
Kite.
actually choose his real name here, but I couldn't find any official canon name for the life of me. Not that it really matters. All
Yeah,
the
there is
fun
no
takes
canon
place,
name for Kite's
in
real
game, so you
player.
never really hear anyone refer to him by his real name.
That
Still,
means that
I
whatever
always
you
figured
put
Kite
is
would be the kind
canon.
of adorable dork to use his real name as
Pretty
his
much.
online name, so I went with
Looking
that.
at you,
He meets
Asuna.
up with his real world buddy, Yasuhiko, or as he prefers to be called online, Orca.
Orca of the Azure Sea.
Cyan actually mentions and even shows off Orca a few times, along with his friend Balmung, who we'll see later. He also has a presence in AI Buster, but I can't say any of his past appearances before his moment in the game matters, since
Orca shows up in the
well,
first game.
Kite, being the
Oh,
dumb sports head protagonist
gotcha.
from the 2000s that he is, imagines nothing about online video games. Thankfully, Orca's a well-known player in the world, and he's here to show his friend the ropes. You know, until... He breaks down pretty much all the game, from world selecting and generation to battle and dungeon.
This is
control.
probably.
Like, at least
I
commend the
want
game
to
for
talk
not-
about this too. This is probably one of the least interesting tutorials to a game I've ever seen.
Least
It's
interesting
really
tutorial.
you're really a level 1 player tagging along with a level 50 player through a
Oh.
level 1 area.
So he's one-shotting
So
everything.
he's literally one-shotting everything you come across.
Wow.
Not to mention almost everything you interact with, he wants to stop you and be like, here's how you do this. And it's like, I know how to open a box. I know how to hit a box. It says press X to hit. Please let's move on.
So let me ask you, since I was the one who got you into Final Fantasy 14, did you feel like that when I was like showing you the ropes? I'm genuinely curious. Please answer honestly.
Not too much. There was a couple things where it's like, duh.
Okay.
But for the most part, Final Fantasy 14's like, for example, you really had to sit down and explain to me the combo system.
hmm
Which the combo system, if you sat down and read the skills, you know how the combo system works. But as somebody like me who just kind of flew through and was just trying to level up,
hmm
to have somebody sit down and explain to you how the combo system works, super helpful.
Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure because I know that that's kind of a common thing when groups of friends start like an MMO together and one's already been playing it is hardcore hovering.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't say you hovered too much. In fact, you were more help than anything because you really helped me fly through some of the content that was really boring.
What do you know? That makes me feel all warm and tingly inside. I'm glad to know. Okay, I was
Because
just curious about that.
let's both agree the content in A Realm Reborn, you're literally just trying to get through it as fast as possible.
Yeah, that post game
Post
post
expansion
main
shit.
story, that pre first expansion stuff was just not great. Very boring.
Yeah, and then you get to the castrum and the pre-tour. Anyway, this video is
Yeah,
not about that.
right. Yeah.
So let's move on.
Had to
Not
know.
a terrible tutorial, I can't say it's a very good one. Orca's a level
Nope.
50 party member in a dungeon with level 1 enemies. Often
Oh.
spawning once at a time, so it's kinda
He's going over this. So
without giving you much of a chance to get
I
used to
feel I
it.
should
Here's
mention
some of the
this
content.
is
Speaking
a
of
single
which, I
player
should probably give
game
an
based
explanation
off of
for
an
the combat
MMO
system, since
show.
it's pretty unique. When you
Oh
step into
right,
a
yeah.
dungeon-
So the game has a lot of MMO themes, but it is very much a single player game simulating an MMO experience.
Which they
And
do
it's
pretty well, I
still-
hear.
It's all right. I didn't have any complaints with it. But it is also simulating a very early lifetime MMO experience. So
I-
there's a lot of quality of life improvements that you might expect that you're not going to see. Every single skill you have to like open the skill menu, select the skill, target it, initiate it. You're stuck in place for a few seconds. You know what I mean?
I only played Roots, the first game, but I remember my sister watching me for a little bit, and she goes, "Is this actually online?" And I was like, "No, but it feels like it, right?" She's like, "Yeah." Anyway, that's
Roots
like
is
I
the
should-
anime.
GU. I mean, not the. You know what I mean? The game about Roots,
Yeah, GU Volume 1 is the one you're talking about then.
right? Yeah.
GU had a lot more quality of life improvements. The fact that you can hold a button and select a skill,
Yeah.
kind of like quick skill style, was a lot better than the original 4 games. But in the original 4 games, like I said, you had to like hit triangle, open your menu, everything stops, go through your menus, and then go through the menus and the menus to get to your skills.
Yeah, like those hybrid RPG games that are like not turn-based, but they're kind of turn-based when you go into the menu type of thing.
Right, kind of like a half action, half static kind of game.
Hmm.
Which honestly, I personally didn't have too much gripe with because having the combat stop while you're selecting skills opens up a lot of strategic opportunities in a fight.
Hmm.
As far as like, oh no, I'm about to get hit by. We'll use Final Fantasy 14 terms. Oh no, that enemy's about to hit me with a tank buster.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
enemy's about to absolutely destroy my shit with one attack. I should probably go into my menu and just spam healing items.
Right. And you didn't play a lot of Final Fantasy. Did you play any of Final Fantasy 11? But it's
11, no.
very much the same as what you're describing in that your skills are in the menus. Your basically the only thing that you're in complete direct control over is your character's movement,
Hmm.
and everything else is a menu.
I got you. There's no like hot bars or anything like that.
No.
Hmm.
So,
Well, like we were saying, like very early lifetime MMO design.
yeah.
There's also the fact that a party can only consist of 3 characters. There is no multi-party areas or anything like that, even though the game kind of suggests that with some of the quests and stuff.
Hmm.
But it's very much not a thing. But yeah, that's all stuff that'll pretty much be explained through the videos here.
Or anywhere that's not a town area. There's these yellow portals around the field and in dungeons. Once you approach them, they'll spawn enemies or sometimes chests. Battle starts as soon as these enemies get spit onto the field, and you can either attack them by pressing X or pause the game and select a skill or item. There's no shortcut or quick selection to use a skill in the middle of battle. You have to pause the game every time, select
Yep,
a skill, and select an enemy to use that skill on. Most battles will have you pausing a lot, since you have to order your allies to use skills too. You'd think a battle system like this would be really slow and boring, even stiff, but it's surprisingly intense with how battles go in this game. Sure, there will be times where you just mash the X button until the enemy dies, but around the middle of the game, enemies stop messing around and start dealing out some serious damage. A lot of battles still had that intense feeling you would get in a normal action RPG like Kingdom Hearts, by forcing you to make a decision that would either save your life or ruin you completely.
So the another thing I want to say about that is, one of the big things that tends to differ from .hack and other RPGs that I guess at the time
Hmm.
is status debuffs in
Oh,
.hack
yeah.
are just they're game enders. Like a simple curse status debuff will end your game. You know what I mean?
Right. Now
Because
that's not too unique to see because like you had the Shin Megami Tenseis before, Persona 3. Even in Persona 3, status debuffs could kill you, but outside of Persona, like
there's a
getting a
lot of games
debuff
where status
was
debuffs are negligible.
yeah. But Shin Megami
Yeah,
Tensei was like you got a status debuff, reload your save. You might be saving yourself some time. Don't even
yeah.
bother.
So .hack has the tendency of throwing like 4 enemies at you. All 4 enemies immediately cast charm on your entire party, and guess
Oh
what?
god. Yeah.
Now your entire party is fighting amongst themselves, and the only like you have to wait until the last one is standing, wait until the charm wears off, and then revive everybody and get back into it. And there's
Right.
no real resistances to that kind of stuff. I mean, there
Dude,
is a resistance stat for the 2 different types of debuff, but the effect that stat has is negligible at best.
okay. Do they wear
So
off?
they do wear off.
Oh, okay.
All status effects wear off, whether they be buffs or debuffs.
Right.
But having your entire party be charmed for even 10 to 15 seconds is destructive.
Yeah.
And they're usually used by enemies that are super tanky as well. So you're dealing with this for a 30-second to minute long fight, you know what I mean? And it's like I said, they'll throw 4 of them at you at the same time. Now, luckily, what I've noticed in this is the combat system is, for the most part, the enemies don't all hit you at the same time. So I think there's some kind of coding in the game where the enemies kind of take turns on stuff like that.
Hmm.
So if you get like 4 enemies that all have status debuff skills, they'll tend to use them one at a time on you. Uh, with the rare exception where they just all spam you at the same time.
Most
But
games will make it to where if they use it at the same time, or if they use it while you already are under the effect, it'll just miss.
right, and then the your real saving grace there is if they all do cast it at the same time, they're usually all casting it on the same party member.
Oh, okay.
So it's they might as well have taken their time.
Gotcha.
So there you got little saving graces in that, but man, a simple charm debuff on a single party member is deadly because your party member might come up and two shot you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially if like you have like a heavy blade, one of the ones with the big great swords, come after your wave master, like your healer, and then just instantly destroy their life. it's
That
it's so aggravating sometimes. I've caught myself having to redo dungeons 10 times with just simple enemies because they debuff the hell out of your party.
brutal RPGs like that are actually relatively popular because
No,
everybody
I
likes a
enjoyed it.
challenge.
I very much enjoyed the challenge of it, but
Well,
man,
yeah,
is it
you enjoyed
frustrating
it.
sometimes. It is aggravatingly frustrating sometimes. But
Let's
we'll,
keep
we'll,
going.
yeah, let's keep going. This
Battles
video
are
will be 2 hours
surprisingly
long if
fast
we
and
don't.
chaotic. Enemy and ally health bars can drop in a matter of seconds, and I was
Mhm.
often left with the choice of trying to finish off the
Battles
enemy
can go
before they
by
do
very
another big
quick.
and bad hit, or try to heal through their damage instead. I only have 2 specific problems with the combat. The first problem is the camera. You can only target certain enemies with spells and certain attacks when they're
Yep.
on screen, meaning you have to have the camera focused on them at all times. The problem is, in a lot of areas, especially dungeons, the camera ends up mashing into the wall and zooming in on kite, making it hard to see the enemies and forcing you to move into a different angle that'll hopefully fix the camera's position. In that time though, I've either already taken a huge amount of damage that I could have avoided, or the enemies have got me trapped in their own spell, forcing me to stay still while they cast it on me. A lot of them like to run away and get out of the camera view. Some
Yeah,
of
that's
them even
another
force
thing
the
is
camera to disorient
any
you
and
forcing
all
you to heal
attack spells
completely.
used on
Taking
you
the time
lock
it
you
takes
in
for you to do
place.
that
Oh,
can do
okay.
damage or to move to a different spot completely to
Like
make your life hell.
absolutely.
If you need a more concrete example, take a look at these Moo Guardians. Fuck the Moo Guardians. I
Yeah,
honestly
fuck Moo
can't tell
Guardians.
if this is a problem with the game and
The hell is a
AI
Moo
just
Guardian?
run anywhere they can, or if they're actually
Hold on.
using
I need to talk about this. I need to rage a little bit. That's a Moo Guardian.
Okay.
A Moo Guardian is a super tanky spellcaster
Okay.
that not only heals themselves but revives their allies
Ooh.
while also dealing status debuffs on you.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that does sound
The-
obnoxious.
yeah, fuck the Moo Guardians. Whoever designed those things needs to be hung.
Oh, wow. That's a little extreme, but I feel your pain.
Moo Guardians are game enders sometimes, dude. Fuck the Moo Guardians. I hate Moo Guardians. I hate any enemy that can heal itself and revive allies while still being super tanky. Why would you do that?
Don't play the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Oh my god. Let's move on.
Yeah.
damage or to move to a different spot completely to make your life hell. If you need a more concrete example, take a look at these Moo Guardians. Fuck the Moo Guardians. I honestly can't tell if this is a problem with the game and
Oh,
the
they're
AI
constantly
just
moving
run
too, so
anywhere
they'll
they
move
can, or if
behind
they're
your
actually
camera
using
on
camera to
purpose so
their
that you can't
advantage.
target them.
Regardless of the attention, fuck the Moo Guardians. The
Fuck
other
the
problem
Moo
I have with the game
Guardians.
is the healing magic. I just don't see a point to it at all. There's 2 ways you can recover health in the game. You can use items or magic. The magic healing spell heals the same 150 HP every single time and has a cast time in which you can take damage.
Oh,
Here's
see,
what
yeah,
happens
that's
when you use a
useless.
healing item.
Instant.
I just
Yep.
don't see why I should ever use healing magic in the game.
Once you get
especially in
stocked
the
up
middle
on
of
items,
battle,
you'll
where a
never
few
use
seconds of
healing
doing
magic.
nothing is enough to get you killed. This is especially annoying.
Well,
near
not
the
you
end of the game
personally.
where you're forced to take
It's always
more of a
helpful to have
hero
your
role
wave
while your
master in the
allies
back
do most of the
healing
damage.
you
Sure, you can get an
with
area
magic,
healing spell in the middle of
but
the
it's
game,
so
but
much
when the
faster
timer
to just
fades to
spam
cast
healing
that
items
spell,
rather
I
than
can use multiple
healing
heal
magic.
just as much as
It seems
spell
like
on
wave
both of
masters
my
would be
party
better
members.
spent just
Healing spells became
attacking.
so pointless in the end of the game that I just started throwing potions
Yeah.
instead of bothering with spells at all. It's not like I have a
So
hard limit on healing potions.
Yeah,
either.
he's using
Sure, they
limits
cost money, but the
limits
game gives you
on
enough means to get more than enough to max
just
yourself out
screw
on
it,
potions.
screw magic. I'm
I
using
think you get
items.
more incentive to use
yeah. So later in the game that becomes a running thing is you'll get more powerful healing magics that eventually will outgrade your healing items. So as an example, later, like at the end game, in the final game, you'll start getting like Fa Rep, which instantly maxes the health on a character or on an ally when
Hmm.
it's cast, or Fala Rep, which max heals all of your allies for
Okay,
relatively
well,
low
I
MP.
mean, in that situation, yeah, you would use that, but for just like casual healing, it just item it out.
Oh yeah, like if you have like a super critical hit coming in on you, just pause the game and just spam your healing items because
Hmm.
you can get out probably 10 to 15 healing items in the time it takes to cast one healing spell.
Gotcha.
Like it's that absurd.
spells and later when you get stronger ones. But in Volume 1, it's really just better to use healing items and not worry about spells at all. I want to point out that despite these 2 complaints, there's still only 2 complaints in an RPG. I still
Right.
had a lot of fun playing the game despite the faulty cameras
a good
and
ratio.
healing options. It's really satisfying using all these spells and cool techniques to get big damage off on enemies, and even kill multiple monsters off at the same time with one big and well executed skill. Also, I'm simple-minded and
Especially
I
if
get out
you
with
get
really
that
big red
freaking
numbers.
elemental weakness off.
Unga
The menu
bunga do
progression's
damage.
great. You kind of have to make
Unga
your own
bunga number
dungeons in the game
number
using
stacking.
specific keywords. It sounds like they're procedurally generated floors, but they're actually not. All these dungeons have set pre-made designs, which is kind of brilliant with how many keyword combinations there are in the game. It kind of feels
Oh yeah,
like
there's
this was done so the players
literally
can choose really cool
thousands
dungeons with
of
some great loot at the end,
possible
and then share
dungeons
those
to go
keywords
through,
with their friends
and
who could
all
use
of
those
them are
dungeons to their
preset
advantage.
designs.
Of course,
That's
nowadays
amazing.
Every
it's
single
not
one.
really necessary. What with all the guides on the internet telling you where all
And
the good stuff is.
I
Might as well
I
be
really
randomized
enjoy
since
that
they
type
have
of
the same
thing
sort of
because
symbols
like
as your room shapes.
that's one of my favorite
Doesn't
parts
really
about the
suck to
dog
point
hat
out at
universe is
all.
the
This is
using
coming from a guy that
words to
hates
traverse the area. Well, that's it. That's
Right.
all.
So what I was saying is like you have the 3 words. You get you get the combination of 3 words, boom, dungeon. But like if I were to go into the game and use 3 words to make a dungeon, found that dungeon really helpful. And for you in your game, I'll give you the same 3 words, you'll get the exact same dungeon I did.
Right.
The monsters you fight might be a little different and the treasures you find will be different, but the dungeon layout is exactly the same.
That's really cool. I love that.
hmm
randomized dungeons out
So
very
you can like
often. It felt
share
really
information with
accomplishing
your
to clear
friends
the
and
floors
stuff.
of a dungeon all the way to the end, get to that
Oh, and
last treasure room and
the
see all the rare stuff you can find.
the
Especially
final
if you have to
chest
deal
of the
with tough
dungeon will
enemies
always
along
have
the
the
way.
same
You know, like
Oh,
stuff,
that's cool. Okay.
I feel like that's
which is
actually what
always
separates
like the
this dungeon
rarest drop of
exploration
the
from the
dungeon.
boring and
Mhm.
monotonous exploration of other repetitive dungeon crawlers. The enemies are actually tough enough to make you think about leaving in the middle of the dungeon, to cut your losses and take what you've collected so far, while having enough rewards and powerful items in them to make you feel like you weren't just getting to the end for the sake of getting to the end. This is
Oh
something
yeah.
a lot of
okay.
games with random dungeons get
So
wrong.
that's another thing is you can get partway into a dungeon and then just bug out, you know what I mean, cut the risk,
Hmm.
but you're never leaving with less than you started with. Well, almost never, unless you like really took a lot of damage and burnt through your healing items. You're usually leaving with more than you came in with, which I think the game does extraordinarily well. You never leave a dungeon feeling like, oh, I just wasted my time. You know what I mean?
So what's the punishment for death here? It's not. I'm assume that it's not going
Load
to
your
just
save.
kick you back to. Oh, really? It's going to kick you back to the main menu.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that kind of okay. So if you're having a rough time, then it is a good idea to just leave.
Right. So if you die, your party members can still revive you, but if your
Mhm.
whole party dies, reload your save. And
Oh
you
wow,
cannot bug out of the dungeon as long as you, the main character, party leader, are dead.
oh, that
So
sucks. Okay,
so you
well,
would have to have you're obligated to have somebody revive you, and then you have the party bug out of the dungeon.
mhm.
And on top of that, you cannot bug out in the middle of a fight. You can't
Oh
even
boy,
leave the room while a fight is going on.
there's no running away.
There is no running away.
Wow. Okay.
You have to really like see that there's a monster portal coming up in the next room and then weigh your options.
Damn, there's running away even in like the worst Shin Megami Tensei games. You can run away.
Yeah,
It's
no, as
unlikely,
soon as,
but you can do it.
and even before the magic portal pops and the monsters show up, that room is locked. Once you enter that room, the doors close behind you, and whether you pop the portal or not, you cannot leave.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So fairy orbs are your greatest friend because fairy orbs will map out the entire current floor of the dungeon you're on,
Mhm.
and you can carry 99 of them. So stock up.
Stock up.
You're never going to use probably more than 5 or 6 in a dungeon,
Oh
but
right, there's a story you need to get to. Okay, so during the worst teaching a friend could do on how to get into a video game, the two friends start seeing this strange-looking girl being chased by a Reaper.
Oh, right, there's a story.
Once we
Orca.
reach the bottom
Oh,
of the
well.
dungeon, we get intercepted by the girl who begs us for help.
Orca.
She gives Orca a strange book and begs him to use it. But if he had that, then Kite wouldn't be the main character, so... the tall man then sets his eyes on Kite, only to get interrupted by a blast that sends Kite to safety. The book then gets absorbed by Kite, and the one that sent the blast and saved him is revealed to be this chick, called Helba. She also plays a role in
Mama
Song,
Helba.
but all she really
Yep.
does there is give the main characters a method to reach Morfana and then send them to safety. She has a much more important role in the games.
Also,
You're, like,
geek
one of
out
the
over
only
the fact
hackers
that her
we
voice
actually
actor
see in the
is the
franchise
same
called
voice
Hack.
actors
Kite
for
explains that Yasuko had
the
been
Major.
hospitalized,
I-
so
I,
no
um,
sign of waking up. After posting what happened on the forums of the game,
Major
Kite gets an email from the
Kusanagi,
girl in
ooh.
white that says, Kite only really questioned this once.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
Something
get wrecked.
and worth deciphering.
Your
He
buddy
then
got
logs on
wrecked.
into the game to find some answers. Here he runs into another player called Black Rose. Well, more like she aggressively runs into him. She tells him off
She
and
has
gives him
a
free reign to walk
habit
around
of that.
town. This is where we prepare
yeah.
for dungeon exploration by buying items, magic, armor,
Overly
and
aggressive
saving.
tsundere.
Though most of the
I
time,
like
all
how
you
all of the
actually wanna get
shopkeepers
is
are the
from the
same
players
dude,
from
not even
town.
recolored.
You can go up to them and trade some of your own gear for really good items that they have. I still don't quite understand how trading really works though. Sometimes a really good item can be obtained by trading
No,
simple
they
and
have
easy to
different
find
models.
treasure,
Well, no,
while other
they're
times
just
they
different
won't be willing to
pallets
let go
of the
an item
same
even
model.
if you offer the rarest, most valuable items you could possibly find in the game. If you talk
Oh,
to
yeah.
them, they'll sometimes request specific
That's annoying.
items for the equipment they have, but sometimes they won't even mention anything special that they want for an item and still refuse to let it go. Please, I'm offering you literally the most powerful gear you could possibly find in the highest level dungeon. Can't you give me this one goddamn chess piece? Once we harass Black Rose a few more times, she requests us to come along with her to a specific area. She says it's the perfect area for a newbie like us, but once we step in...
Oh no, a goblin!
She's not exactly a veteran herself. Getting more into the area, the duo find a statue that looks like the girl Kite saw with Orca. Before they can really think about the situation, the group is attacked by a bugged enemy, completely unkillable. A blade master called Balmung steps in to rescue the two, but all he can really do is stall and try to fight the monster back. It's up to Kite to save the day, as he opens up the book that was kind of just inside his body, and obtains a significantly better outfit.
Oh, hey, look,
Yes.
you're right.
The green he was wearing,
Way
Stuff
better.
So
also
much
comes with a new
better.
feature involving a bracelet on his arm. Well, they keep calling it a bracelet, but it looks more like a weird magic circle cuff thing. Kite uses the bracelet to perform the same attack that was used on Orca, Data Drain. After being drained, the bug monster turns back to normal and is dispatched quickly. Balmung spots Kite's sudden change in weird technique and accuses him of being the person behind the virus that's been causing all these problems. He challenges Kite to a duel, which I'm not exactly sure what would accomplish. If he
Why?
was the creator of the virus or some sort of hacker, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to beat him. And even if you did, he would just come back. It's still a video game.
Right.
Before we could completely humiliate Balmung, Black Rose steps in and does the usual thing that we should be used to by now. Yell at him until he walks away. We get a little scene where Helba informs Balmung that Kite
She's
is
good at
friends
that.
with Orca, who was his partner. And then the scene ends with everyone kind of just going home.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. You have email.
Oh, remember the post we made about our friend going into a coma? Well, that got deleted. Not really a surprise, since that would probably cause mass hysteria if true. We also get a little tutorial about data draining. It's kind of like a super attack you could do when the enemy is weak enough. Removing their bug state if they're infected with a virus and weakening them to level 1 if they're just normal enemies. Not only is it required for certain plot enemies, but you also need to drain enemies for certain items called virus cores that let you access certain blocked areas. It's basically how the game makes sure you're a high enough level. Making sure you fought enough enemies to give you cores, you need to access
Smart.
stronger, more dangerous plot areas. Data
I like
draining can
the-
also
I
get
like
you
the
some rare
gating of it.
items, which makes me wonder how anyone would get these really rare weapons without hacking the game. Come to think of it, weakening an enemy before hacking them also sounds weird. You think
That's
an
true.
almighty game-breaking hack item could be used freely. Well, even if you could use it freely, you wouldn't be able to use it all the time. Data draining also
wouldn't be a
infects
video
Kite,
game
which
otherwise.
will eventually kill him if he abuses it and has too much of an infection. The infection goes down after a few enemy kills, and the game warns you pretty obviously when you shouldn't use data drain, so it's not like you're playing a guessing game. Though, if that's the limiter for how much you can use it, what's the point of having negative effects hit you?
I was
at
gonna
random when you
say,
use it?
like,
Not only that, but data draining enemies also gives you one whole experience point anyway, so you can't use it without getting heavily underleveled. It's like running away from
Yeah.
battles in a normal RPG to keep the story going. Eventually, you're gonna find super tough enemies, and you won't have the stats to beat them.
very,
Black
very
Rose sends us
strange.
an email saying she wants to help us out, and with no other option, we jump
Well,
back into the
it's
game
a-
to find a really odd pair of players.
It's a method for them to balance gathering rare items through data drain
Mhm.
and nullifying the threat of enemies with actually fighting the super hard enemies, not getting the rare item, but getting the experience instead.
Got you. I see.
So if you if you data drain an enemy, like he said, they go down to a level 1 mob.
With all of
Like
that, with all of what that entails, so you're not getting the experience that
exactly.
you would have gotten. Okay.
You're not getting the experience. You're getting really stupid weapon or not. I don't think you get any weapons or armor from data drained enemies, but you get like really rudimentary items like health drinks and stuff like that.
But I mean,
So
threatening the player with death on overuse is kind of dumb because it's like you're just gonna not use it until that threat goes away and then use it as you want. Like
right.
the
It's a gating mechanism to make sure that you're not overusing data drain
Mhm.
because
But noticing
I don't
that you're
know.
not getting enough money or experience should be, you know.
Right. I don't know if it's much of a spoiler because this is a whole spoiler video.
Right.
So towards the end of the games, there's dungeons where at the end of each volume, there's a secret dungeon after the post game
Mhm.
where it's just super hard for that volume. And at the end is this ridiculously powerful boss that if you data drain it, it gets you like this really, really good weapon or some such.
Mhm.
But through those dungeons are littered with data bugs where you're required to data drain them.
Right.
And you really, really, really need to keep on top of how much you're data draining enemies. Because if you data drain too much, boom, you're dead. So
And when you
it
say dead,
really
like
it's
dead
a
that
lot of band.
can your allies just revive you if you like
No, no, like
oh,
it's like game over
okay.
because your character. See what data drain lore wise, what data drain is doing is every time you use data drain on an enemy, it infects your character a little bit more. And
Uh-huh.
once you get max infection, boom, your character is just unusable.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Right, because like once you get higher infection rates on your character from overusing data drain, you get like increasingly worse debuffs on your character to tell you, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing it this much.
Oh, so it does do things other than just so it does
Other than the
debuff you.
instant death at the final, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the more you use it, every single time you use it, you'll get increasingly worse debuffs. Everything from you're paralyzed now, to your entire party just took a bit of damage,
Mhm.
all the way down to everybody in your party just lost an entire level.
Oh, wow. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so it's you really need to balance what you're doing. And but the final dungeons are kind of unfair because they'll throw in like a ton of data bugs at you where you can't leave the room. You have to fight the data bug. And if you going too far in the dungeon, guess what? You're gonna data drain yourself to oblivion.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound kind of
So
messed up. Give me just one
yeah,
second.